Hey everybody, I'm Vince Hordemann and I am the director of The Blueprint. On today's Behind the Blueprint, we wanted to explain how the NXTPRO Circuit works, what teams are playing for, how they get to the end of the season, what the spring versus July means, and how things wrap up at the end of the year. So let me walk you through it. The NXTPRO is basically made up of two separate leagues. You've got the PRO16 League and you've got the Next League. The PRO16 League is the sponsored league. These are the teams that are sponsored by PUMA. They're the ones that receive cash and gear. This is all in an effort to help those teams get the better players to make the league even stronger. Then there's the Next League. These teams are not sponsored, but they are fighting for a chance to be sponsored at the end of the year, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. A lot of these teams have high-level players. We have some statistics that we'll show you in one of our episodes with all the offers that these teams received. The Next League is considered the second league within the NXTPRO. This would be similar to Nike's EYCL, Under Armour's Rise, or the 3SSB Gold Circuit, the league. But we're going to talk about some differences between those shoe circuits and the way that NXTPRO runs their second league. Both teams play at a regular season in the spring, which runs March through May. For the Pro League teams, these teams have required events they need to be at. Without getting into a lot of the details, they have some pods that are regionally based where the different teams are at, but there are several events throughout the country that teams are required to play at. You're going to see that in episode 4 when we talk about the Memphis tournament. The Next League has a whole bunch of options that they can play in, and they're not required to play in any specific events except for the live periods. So these events happen throughout the country, and teams are able to pick what makes most sense for them. One thing that you're going to hear about in episode 2 is the algorithm that the league uses in order to determine the top 16 teams at the end of the season. This algorithm is what determines who plays who as the season moves along. And this thing works out really great. It's pretty cool how accurate the algorithm can be. And what happens is as the season progresses, the top teams end up getting in the top tier, second tier, third tier, fourth tier on down, which creates competitive games for everybody, which is what we all want. After the regular season is finished, the algorithm then determines who the top 16 teams are in both the PRO16 League and in the Next League. Based on the top 16, that will determine who gets into the PRO16 National Tournament that takes place in July. In 2024, the 15U and the 16U National Championships were held in Phoenix, and the 17U was held in Indianapolis. Those teams compete in a 32-team bracket, and the winner is your national champion. And that national champion could be a PRO16 team, or it could be a Next team. In addition, following the July National Championships, the Next League also has their own Next League Championship, and this is where the top 150 comes into play. So the teams that rank in the top 150 from the algorithm end up in this Next League Championship. Now this is one of the big differences between the PUMA NXTPRO Circuit and all the other shoe circuits. The winner of this tournament actually gets a sponsorship on the PRO16 the following year. Since we already have a sponsorship, we don't actually play in the Next League, but we did see this happen, and some of the teams that come out of this are really good. We saw them on the PRO16 this year, and they're a legit team. A couple of notes on why the NXTPRO is what we think is the best shoe circuit in the country. First of all, the games that are played here in the spring, they're all played at the same facility. It's not one of those situations where the PRO16 teams all play at one place and the next teams play at another location. Everybody plays together under the same roof, which makes travel a lot easier. And for the college recruiters that are there watching the PRO16 team, they're also going to be able to watch the next teams. In addition, the PRO16 teams and the next teams often play against each other. So when you look at this algorithm that ranks out these top teams, those top teams get a chance to play against PRO16 teams. And that's something you're not going to find in any other shoe circuit. The national tournament also combines the PRO16 and the next teams into one bracket. You're not going to find that in any other shoe circuit. And finally, the Next League actually awards the winning team a PRO16 sponsorship the following year. You're not going to find that in any other shoe circuit either. So anyways, this is kind of a high-level overview of the NXTPRO. It doesn't get into a lot of the details, but it kind of helps explain how this thing flows. So as you're watching the different episodes throughout the blueprint, you'll kind of have an understanding of how things are going, what teams are playing for, and why it matters that we're playing on the NXTPRO circuit. Hopefully this helps. If you have questions, let us know. Remember, the first episode comes out on January 2nd, and we'd love to have you check it out. We'll see you there.